Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 7th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Going to see some showers this morning. In fact, raining pretty hard right now. But the sun's going to appear this afternoon, high 65. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 50. And then Friday, rain and then sun and clouds in the afternoon, high 66. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 49 in cloudy in New City up in Rockland. It's 50 and cloudy in Lambertville over in New Jersey. And it's 52 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Rudy is out of ICU. 2 kayakers wash up dead on Long Island. Do you think the Epstein suicide note is real? Rutgers cancels a pro-Palestinian commencement speaker. And a Bronx restaurant owner wants to find some dine and dashers. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. People say to me, how come you never start with good news? Well, how about the Knicks now have a 2-zip lead in their Eastern Conference semifinal matchup with the Sixers. They held off the Sixers in a game that saw the score go back and forth. It felt like 100 times last night at the Garden. Jalen Brunson tied for a game-high 26 points. Talk about being in control of this game last night for the final minutes.
Most importantly, just staying poised, staying composed. When they make it faster, when they go up one or retake the lead back, just focusing and paying attention to the details and find a way how to just make the next play on the other side of the ball.
Mikal Bridges talking about being up now 2-zip on Philly.
Play desperate, just be even better. Just got to keep being better and, not worry that we're up 2-0. Just it's 0-0 and go out there and play.
Yeah, so game 3 Friday night in Philly. Of course, the big question in Philly is, will Philadelphia fans show up? Last time the Knicks played Philadelphia in Philly, there was more Knicks fans at that arena than there were Sixers fans. Of course, Justin Ellick will be up about 5:15 with the latest and more information on last night's big win. Another big win. Mayor Giuliani is out of ICU. Will be spending some time recovering before leaving the hospital. He's been in a Southern Florida hospital since the weekend battling pneumonia. Here's his spokesman, Ted Goodman.
Mayor Rudy Giuliani is out of the ICU. He'll spend some time recovering before leaving the hospital. The mayor and his family appreciate the outpouring of love and support sent his way. Mayor Giuliani, the man who took down the mafia, saved New York City, and ran toward the towers on September 11th, is the same fighter he's always been, and he's winning this fight. Please, keep the prayers coming. We feel them, and the mayor feels so.
That's his spokesman, Ted Goodman. It's really an amazing reversal when you think over the weekend they brought in a priest to read him last rites. Now they're talking about the chance that he may get out of the hospital relatively soon. 5:03, we're getting a look at a suicide note purportedly left behind in his jail cell by the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein before his first attempt to kill himself. In it, he writes, "It is a treat to be able to choose one's time to say goodbye." Epstein's former cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, a convicted quadruple murderer, claims he found this note tucked in a book in the days after Epstein's first suicide attempt. That was in July of 2019. At the time, Epstein denied being suicidal, telling a psychologist he had no interest in killing himself. Well, a federal judge ordered this note unsealed yesterday, giving us and investigators a first look at this, again, purported suicide note. The cryptic one-page handwritten note offered few new details about Epstein's motivations, and there's no confirmation that Epstein himself authored the whole thing. But he says in it, they investigated me for a month, found nothing. He then goes on to say, what you want me to do? Burst out crying. No fun, not worth it. One line of this 7-line note is unclear because his handwriting's just terrible. Epstein died in jail while awaiting trial on August 10th, 2019. His death was ruled a suicide by hanging by the New York Medical Examiner's Office, and the Justice Department concurred in that finding. But we're still investigating this whole thing. Last night, or I checked this was yesterday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick was giving testimony before the House Oversight Committee looking into the Epstein investigation. Before the hearing, the committee chair, James Comer, said that Lutnick came voluntarily.
I think people can see that this is a bipartisan investigation. We're really sincerely trying to get the truth. Our goal is to provide justice for the victims, and hopefully today will be helpful.
Lutnick had said that he stopped talking to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2005, but during Senate testimony back in February, he admitted to visiting Epstein's private island with his family back in 2012. The Commerce Secretary says he's done nothing wrong and went yesterday to set the record straight. That hearing was behind closed doors. 5:05. It is looking more and more like there could be an LIRR strike.
We are now less than 2 weeks away from a potential Long Island Railroad strike, and it does not seem there has been any progress made by negotiating teams. Union workers are at odds with the MTA over pay raises in the fourth year of a new contract. MTA Chair Jan O'Lieber says the agency is working to avoid a strike.
We're ready to stay at the table every day, all day, as necessary to try to reach an agreement. It's bad for the workers. It's bad for the public. It's bad for the economy. We got to figure out a way to avoid it.
Union workers are threatening to walk off the job by May 16th if they can't come to a deal. The unions also announced a weekend rally in Massapequa on Saturday showing support for workers. The strike would affect around 300,000 daily riders. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
While we're out on Long Island, 2 men found dead early Wednesday after disappearing during a nighttime kayaking trip on the Shinnecock Bay. Authorities say the pair set out on a 2-person kayak. This was about 8 p.m. Tuesday. When they did not return, a search team was sent. Their bodies were not discovered until hours later. It was about 4 a.m. yesterday near the Pequannock Bridge in Hampton Bay.
That's just devastating. It's sad.
You'll see the white caps. It is very rough. The wind kicks in and you get gusts. And the gusts of winds can be very strong.
Police telling us the victim's 25-year-old Daniel Villa. He's from Southampton. 43-year-old Juan Carlos Pinarada. He's from Quogue. The circumstances surrounding why the men were kayaking at night remain unclear, but those familiar with the area say the Shinnecock Bay can quickly become hazardous, especially in windy conditions, which apparently there were on Tuesday night. Here's the Southampton Town Emergency Manager.
You can see some of the chop out on the water. It can get quite rough out there. Even people that are skilled swimmers, seasoned maritime community members, being in that cold water can be dangerous. It's always important, regardless of what time of the year it is, that you follow the required safety precautions.
Now, as of late last night, they just really weren't completely sure what had taken place. They didn't tell us whether they had life vests or not. Southampton Town Police asking anybody with information about the incident to give them a holler. In a moment, we'll head out to that cruise ship where the hantavirus outbreak continues, and which is kind of a crazy story. We'll do that in just a moment. But first, 5:07, first check of traffic and transit on the 7s on this early Thursday morning. Good morning, Joe Nolan.
Nothing worse than a Long Island Railroad strike. I've gone through, I think, 2 of them in the last 45 years. Nothing worse.
Well, because it's the biggest commuter rail in the country, if I'm not mistaken,
worse.
Right?
Yeah, great.
And there's no way to get if you have to get to Jamaica to get on a subway to come into the city. And then it's bus, right?
What they did, I think, the last time was the contingency plan had people drive to the old Shea Stadium and park there and then take the 7 train. So, of course, the 7 train was a delight.
Yeah. Well, they have 2 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, let's hope they do, because they're
Yeah, WABC News Time 509. There could be an easier way to get lower transit fares.
The New York City Council's considering automatic enrollment for its discounted transit program. The Fair Fares program offers free buses and subways to New Yorkers living at or below the federal poverty line. But Council member Crystal Hudson says not enough people take advantage of it.
Only about a third of eligible New Yorkers are enrolled. That means too many people who qualify are not receiving a benefit designed for them.
The plan would streamline a process that requires eligible New Yorkers to download an app just to get a fare card or apply again if they lose it. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
You may not like it, but how I figure out what the biggest stories of the day, it's from the people I hang out with in the dog park. I always say whatever they're talking about, that's what people are talking about. And all they wanted to talk about yesterday, as our dogs were playing with each other, were the hantavirus outbreak aboard this cruise ship. So here's the latest that we know. This Dutch, if you haven't been following this story, a Dutch cruise ship hit with the hantavirus outbreak has left Cape Verde after 3 people on board were medically evacuated yesterday. It was a 56-year-old British man, a 51-year-old Dutch crew member, and a 65-year-old German national. They were sent to the Netherlands for treatment. Now, the ship has 146 people on board. They've begun now a 3-day journey to the Canary Islands. I mean, people desperately want off this thing. They're confined to their rooms as they try to figure out what is making this hantavirus go through the ship. None of the 3 evacuees, by the way, have tested positive for the virus so far, but they're all showing symptoms. In its latest update, the World Health Organization says 8 cases of hantavirus, 3 confirmed and 5 suspected, have so far been identified in people who were on the ship. Now, 3 people have died. Hantavirus typically spreads from rodents, but health experts believe in this case it may have passed between humans that were in close contact, which makes it incredibly more frightening. Dr. Gregory Poland, he's an infectious disease expert at the Mayo Clinic, says the ship outbreak may be the first.
This is a very unusual situation. It raises the question, is it human-to-human transmission, or are there infected rats on board?
Okay, so here's one of the theories. Is the World Health Organization says it believes a Dutch couple was birding and had been in junkyards before they got onto the ship, and that's maybe who brought this on. They got on the ship in Argentina. It's one of these cruises that just goes on forever.
There's no specific treatment for this disease, but there's supportive care and ICU care that you can hopefully bring them through. But the reality of it is, hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, about 30 to 60% die.
Yeah, that's why everybody's freaking out about it. 5:13. U.S. and Iran are reportedly closing in on a memorandum that's aimed at ending this now 69-day-old war. President Trump expressing confidence a deal could be reached. He was speaking out about it at the White House yesterday.
But we're doing very well in Iran. It's going very smoothly, and we'll see what happens. They want to make a deal. They want to negotiate.
Now, the president had issued a warning earlier in the day to Iran that said bombing will start again if a deal isn't reached.
I call it a skirmish because that's what it is. It's a skirmish. And we're doing unbelievably well, as we did in Venezuela, where it was rapid, over in one day.
Iran's foreign minister saying today that the proposal remains under review and Tehran will communicate its response once it's finalized its views. Meanwhile, Israel has expanded its military campaign by bombing Beirut in the first strike on the Lebanese capital since a ceasefire, which was pretty fragile, began back on April 17th. And then, of course, what we're seeing here is just prices go up. I went to fill up the car. We have 2. Again, yesterday, I think I paid $67 to fill the tank. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of money. AAA is saying it doesn't seem like it's going to come down anytime soon.
On the highway, that means staying closer to the speed limit, because once you get to 50 miles an hour, the faster you go, the less fuel efficiency you're going to get because of air resistance. Yeah,
so that's a AAA leader saying, if you just slow down a little bit, if you go the speed limit, you'll save on gas. I can't believe we're talking about stuff like this, but, when you cost $67 to fill your tank, you want to know how long you can stretch it.
By leaving more distance between you and the vehicle in front of you and slowing down, which will allow you to slow down instead of having to constantly hit the brake and then re-accelerate back up to speed once traffic starts moving again. That's also going to help increase your mileage.
All good to know. In a moment, we'll head out to California, where there was a governor's debate that was sort of interesting and a mayoral debate that was pretty intense. We'll get to both of those in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ella.
Good morning to you, Noah Maladen. We'll start here at the Garden. Jalen Brunson scored 26 points and helped New York seize control of a close game after a run of blowouts, leading the Knicks to a 108-102 victory over the 76ers for a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Playing without the injured Joel Embiid, the 76ers put up a far better fight than in the Knicks' 137-98 romp in Game 1. The game featured 25 lead changes, the most in a playoff game in 11 years, and 14 ties. Neither team led by more than 7 points. Brunson made the tie-breaking basket with just over 5 minutes remaining and added another jumper for a 103-99 advantage with just about 3:45 to play before Mikal Bridges' basket made it a 6-point game. OG Anunoby added 24 points for New York, though he left late in the game, went to the locker room, did not return to the bench. Head coach Mike Brown said after the game he didn't have an update on the forward status. Series does move to Philadelphia for Game 3 tomorrow night and Game 4 come Sunday. Elsewhere last night, your final from San Antonio, Spurs beating the Timberwolves 133-95. That series now knotted at a game apiece. And looking ahead to action tonight, the Cavaliers and Pistons will pick up their series at 7 p.m. It's Game 2 there. Detroit leading the series 1-0. And at 9:30, Lakers and the Thunder will get underway out in OKC. The Thunder, they're 15.5-point favorites for Game 2. They are up 1-0 there. Let's head to the Diamond in Colorado. Juan Soto led off with a home run. Marcus Semien homered and finished with 4 hits. And the Mets beat the Colorado Rockies 10-5 after the start time was pushed back 6 hours due to a snowstorm. Carson Benj continued his hot stretch with 2 hits for New York. He is 4 of 9 with a home run and 4 RBI in his last 3 games. Mets are 4-1 to start their 9-game road trip after losing 17 of 20. Up next for the Mets, the righty Christian Scott gets to start in this afternoon series finale of this 3-game set with New York vying for a sweep. First pitch is scheduled for 3:10 p.m. from Colorado. Then the Bronx, Yankees dropped the middle game of their 3-game series against the visiting Texas Rangers. The final score 6-1. Aaron Judge hit his major league high 15th homer for the Yanks, who had won 5 straight and 15 of 17. But right-hander Will Warren was tagged for 6 runs and 7 hits while throwing 90 pitches over 4 innings. A rare clunker for a New York rotation that began the day leading the majors with a 2.77 ERA. New York had won 8 in a row at home. Up next for the Yanks, the righty Paul Blackburn makes his first start for the Yankees this afternoon after 17 relief appearances since they signed him in August of last year. Originally scheduled starter Ryan Weathers was pitched back following an illness this week. First pitch from the stadium is set for 12:35 p.m. It's an early one. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. Let's go out to California. 7 candidates who want to be California's next governor engaging in a debate last night. In this exchange, you have Democrat Katie Border, Republican Chad Bianco, talking about a mother who lost her child to an illegal immigrant.
Sir, I don't need any lectures from you about being a mother.
Of course, you might. Okay.
Again, please.
Okay, 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans taking part in this debate last night.
Trump lied about that, this whole situation with the migrant kids in 2024.
Did the New York Times lie?
Why don't you let me finish, Antonio?
Yeah, the debate sounded like that. In a new poll from the California Democratic Party, they have former Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra surging to be neck and neck with Republican Steve Hilton, both at 18%. The poll of 1,200 likely voters also shows they're followed by Chad Bianco and then billionaire philanthropist Tom Steyer. And then the 3 major candidates who want to be LA's next mayor engaging in a pretty testy debate last night on NBC. At one point, the moderator had to jump in when Spencer Pratt called LA Mayor Karen Bass a total liar.
No name calling,
please.
She
just lied, though.
Yeah, but no name calling.
She called me a liar.
I don't believe she did. I did not hear that.
This up. I did not.
We're not going to debate the issue.
So Pratt, who's a reality TV star, entered the race after his house burned down in Pacific Palisades. He's accused Bass of lying about the wind speeds on the day the fire broke out. Last night's debate saw both Bass and Pratt direct much of their fire at a third candidate.
Our mayor is the CEO of the city.
She sets the direction of this city. Right. And if you are satisfied with the status quo, then I've got great news for you. The incumbent is on the ballot.
And so the latest polls, the latest one's actually a couple weeks ago. We don't even have a recent one, but Bass is up in that one, the current mayor, anywhere from 9 to 18 points over the last month against everybody else in that race for mayor in Los Angeles. FBI Director Kash Patel criticizing the Arizona sheriff who's in charge of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Remember we were talking about that every single day? Patel says the Bureau offered help immediately, but was excluded from things for at least 4 days.
It's a state and local law enforcement matter. What we, the FBI, do is say, hey, we're here to help. What do you need? What can we do? And for 4 days, we were kept out of the investigation.
Patel going after the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, for insisting on sending DNA evidence to a lab in Florida instead of letting the FBI fly the DNA to their lab down in Virginia.
We would have analyzed it within days and maybe gotten better information or more information. Our lab's just better than any other private lab out there.
Now, Sheriff Nanos says this is all nonsense. He doesn't agree with Patel's criticism. Meanwhile, Guthrie, who's the mother of Today's Show host Savannah Guthrie, was reported missing from her home in Tucson back in February 1st, and still she's missing today. 522. Spirit Airlines starting its bankruptcy process after suddenly shutting down operations early Saturday morning, and there's been no shortage of reaction to this whole thing.
I mean, obviously, I feel horrible for all the people that got stranded, but it feels like they've been a little bit on life support for a while.
Spirit, I feel like it's very reliable, so I think that it's definitely going to impact like flights and like prices and the convenience of like going places like, you know, to get an affordable price.
Yeah, I think she's right about that. The airline was in bankruptcy court here in New York to discuss a potential $500 million bailout from the government. More than 3/4 of the airline's fleet was leased. They have a lot to sort out here, but they have to consider also what to do with more than 150 other aircraft they own.
And I do hear bad things about it, but I also hear a lot of people like freaking out over them shutting down. So I think they're a cheaper airline.
Yeah, but were they like the ticket fare was cheap, and then they charge you like $50 to get on the plane and $50 to bring a purse, and like, was it cheap on paper? Yes, but I think it was a little bit of a bait and switch.
Yeah, it felt like it was like $25 to inhale when you're on the plane. The airline's sudden closure has left thousands of travelers, of course, stranded, and then thousands of Spirit workers unemployed today. 524. Members of the Democratic National Committee have been in Denver all week evaluating that city to host the 2028 Democratic Convention. DNC Chair Ken Martin says the party is looking for the exact right fit.
And while we are here to tour and discuss the various logistical and administrative requirements for hosting the Democratic National Convention, we also seek a city that tells a story.
Denver, one of 5 finalists to host the convention, along with Atlanta, Boston, Chicago, and Philly. The Colorado Democratic Party chair says a Denver convention would just energize his city.
In the 20 years since we last hosted, Colorado has become one of the top 2 Democratic performing states in the country. We've laid the nation on climate, voting rights, gun safety, healthcare costs, and small business growth, and we've done it by winning elections and governing well.
That DNC tour that continues today. 525. Ted Turner passed away yesterday, age 87. Correspondent Chris Clackham reports that Turner built this sports and entertainment empire that included TBS, the Atlanta Braves, the Atlanta Hawks, and pro wrestling company WCW.
Turner's greatest innovation came in 1980 when he launched the cable news network, bringing 24-hour news to millions of viewers worldwide. By the mid-'90s, Turner merged his empire with Time Warner.
That deal made him a billionaire. He was also a philanthropist, donating $1 billion to the United Nations Foundation. In recent years, he had contended with several health challenges, including a progressive brain disorder and pneumonia. He had 5 children, and once, of course, was married to actress Jane Fonda, very famously. One of his famous lines that I always thought was great, he'd say, "Do something, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way." I like that quote. 525. Let's go down to Florida, where lawmakers there and conservationists are calling for accountability and reform after dozens of sloths died while in care at the Orlando Sloth World attraction. Now, they had brought these sloths in from Central America, and apparently just so many of them have died since they've come to Florida.
The veterinarian that was hired to watch these sloths did not have any background in exotic wildlife, and she admitted
it herself. I'm a cat-dog vet.
And the result was suffering and death. It happened again and again, and it was allowed to happen.
Yes, so they want to figure out who's to blame for this. To date, 55 sloths that were imported from Central American tropical forests have died from gastrointestinal diseases.
The Port of Miami is one of the worst actors on this, and so we have a great opportunity right here in Florida to slow down that importation and to ban it completely. We do need criminal charges, and I do think that having the Sloth Institute here is going to help, because clearly FWC did not understand the sensitivity of sloths.
Yeah, crazy story.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, May 7th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Going to see some showers this morning, but the sun appears this afternoon, high 65. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 50, and then Friday, rain to start the day, but then sun and clouds, high 66. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 49 cloudy in New City up in Rockland. It's 50 and cloudy in Lambertville over in New Jersey, and it's 52 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. The NYPD captain caught on camera calling Mayor Mamdani expendable has been transferred from his high-ranking position. The comments were caught on video during an anti-immigration protest outside Wyckoff Heights Hospital over the weekend. Captain James Wilson was serving as the 94th Precinct Executive Officer, the precinct's second highest ranking position, when he made these comments on Saturday night.
He's your boss. He's, like temporary. He's all Democrats say, based on, human race.
Some of it's hard to hear, but the 51-year-old is heard calling Democrats a waste of human race. He was transferred to the communications division within the 911 call center in the Bronx on Monday. All NYPD employees are banned from expressing their personal views about a political party or candidate while they're on duty. But I will point out, we've only seen that portion of the video. It's from the demonstrators who shot the video. Of course, you want to know what they might have been saying to him before they started rolling tape. I'd like to see that. On Wednesday, Mayor Mamdani, a Democratic socialist, says he has his hands off the situation.
I saw the video. I did not, however, have any involvement in that decision, nor did my city hall. That was, my understanding, is a decision that was made in accordance with NYPD's administrative guidelines.
Now, Wilson is a 20-year veteran of the department, was only promoted to captain last month. He'll remain reassigned to the communications center, that 911 call center, working alongside civilians while the department investigates the entire situation. Again, love to see the entire video. We'll see if we get our hands on it. 543. A man convicted of shoving a woman into a moving subway train back in 2023, sentenced yesterday, 20 years behind bars. His name is Kamal Samrad. He was convicted of attempted murder and assault in March 9th of that year. And the woman he pushed, I mean, this is just a god-awful story. It's 35-year-old Emin Asoy. She was just commuting to work at the Roosevelt Avenue stop in Queens, 6:05 in the morning, when this jerk, this would-be killer, Kamal Samrad, shoved her into the train. Now, she was an artist, and her face hit the train. She was flung back onto the platform. It fractured her spine. She's going to be in the wheelchair for the rest of her life. She can no longer really do her artwork. Well, she was in court yesterday to give a victim impact statement. She wanted to stare into the eyes of Kamal.
To regain even a small degree of independence, I have undergone 6 separate surgeries.
Asoy found the strength to face her attacker again in court. She says she has limited mobility in her arms and hands. She's unable to work now.
I've waited to see you, Mr. Savarade, express a scintilla of remorse. None has been forthcoming.
Yeah, Samrati now faces or is actually sentenced to 20 years behind bars. Over to Washington Square Park, where a controversial idea is being tossed around involving a permanent fence around Washington Square Park. Should the park get permanent gates so it can be locked up at night? What they do now around midnight is they put these barricades up. But there's a community board hearing yesterday about putting up just a beautiful fence around the entire Washington Square Park so they can really shut it down at night.
I think the message that those gates would send is this park is to be respected. So I'm all in favor of attractive, proper, formal gates.
Tompkins Square Park is one of them that has gates. Madison Square Park has gates around it. So does City Hall Park. So why not put ones around Washington Square Park? 'Cause you get all kinds of wackos hanging out there at night.
This is what I saw in the park just the other morning. There was somebody sound asleep on a mattress.
The fountain was filled with debris. There were just needles everywhere.
Yeah, it gets nasty at night, but not everybody agrees. Some people say, no, they shouldn't put up a gate.
We know that fencing goes against the idea of a public accessible area. This is a massive park with a massive monument that is world renowned.
It's a venue for openness and inclusion where all sorts of people can gather.
Now, the city says there's no formal proposal or even a design to put up the gate, and they'd even have to do some studies first, and they would have to, Landmark Preservation Commission would have to sign off on it. So we're a long way from getting that fence, but they're going to talk about it again during another hearing on May 21st. In a moment, we'll head out to New Brunswick, New Jersey, where there's a lot of hullabaloo about a commencement speaker at Rutgers. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:46, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
What was that? What was that word? Hullabaloo?
Hullabaloo. Did I say it wrong?
Well, is it even a word? No.
It is.
Really?
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a definition. That actually would.
Hullabaloo.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Rousseau used to call it, Chris Rousseau used to call it hubbadoo.
Hubbadoo. See,
that's hullabaloo is a clamorous noise, uproar, or a fuss over a matter.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Hubbadoo rolls better off the tongue. I like that.
I like several incarnations.
Come on, Rousseau. Here we go.
I will tell you the origin. No,
sorry. Your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com and find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. At the Garden, Jalen Brunson went for 26 and helped New York seize control of a close game after a run of blowouts, leading the Knicks to a 108-102 victory over the 76ers for a 2-0 lead in the Eastern Conference semi-final series. Moves to Philadelphia for Game 3 tomorrow night, and Game 4 comes Sunday. Elsewhere around the NBA last night out in San Antonio, Spurs beating the Timberwolves 133-95 in the Western Conference semifinals. Game 2 series now knotted at a game apiece. Looking ahead to action tonight in the NBA playoffs, 7 p.m. start for the Cavaliers and the Pistons. Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 2 there. Detroit leading the series 1-0. They are 3.5-point favorites heading into tonight. 9:30 p.m. Lakers and Thunder will pick up their Western Conference semifinal series. Game 2 there as well. OKC leading 1-0. They are 15.5-point favorites tonight. Head to Colorado. The Diamond. Juan Soto led off with a home run. Marcus Semien homered and finished with 4 hits. And the Mets beat the Rockies 10-5 after the start time was pushed back 6 hours due to a snowstorm. Up next for the Mets, already Christian Scott gets a start in this afternoon series finale of this 3-game set, with New York vying for a sweep and get out of this snow-ridden Colorado. First pitch is scheduled for 3:10 p.m. from the Rockies. In the Bronx, the Yankees dropped the middle game of their 3-game series against the visiting Texas Rangers. Final score 6-1. Aaron Judge did go deep once again. Major League high 15th homer for the Yankees, who had won 5 straight games and 15 of 17 up until last night. Up next for the Yanks, the righty Paul Blackburn makes his first start for the Yankees this afternoon after 17 relief appearances since they signed him in August of last year. Originally scheduled starter Ryan Weathers was pushed back following an illness this week. First pitch from the stadium is set for 12:35 p.m. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal under you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. Rutgers University axing a graduation speaker over his anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian social media posts. Rami Elgahandor is a Rutgers grad. He's the CEO of a biotech company. He was supposed to address the university's engineering students' graduation day, May 15th, but after some students said they would not attend the graduation if he was the speaker, Rutgers disinvited him. In an April post on X, Elgahandor accused Israel of committing genocide, claimed that they were running dungeons where they train dogs to sexually assault prisoners. Well, here's the head of one of the Jewish groups at Rutgers University who says, thank God the school canceled him.
Sometimes we may be angry for whatever the reason, but to go to that exaggeration level of using words such as dogs and dungeons.
Elgahandor released a statement yesterday blasting Rutgers, said he refused to waver from his principles and commitments to human rights. The head of CARE New Jersey speaking out on his behalf yesterday.
It's not like any of his speech was hateful speech or bigoted speech. It was calling for an end to genocide, calling for human rights and accountability. So it was disappointing, especially this happened just, I want to say, 2 weeks after Rutgers welcomed IDF soldiers on campus.
University releasing a statement yesterday. The decision keeps the focus on the engineering students and the graduation. Here's more from the rabbi and from the head of CARE New Jersey.
So we're very happy that the people at the head of the school realize that they have made a mistake. We hope that they are more careful with who they choose in the future, and that their choices of people are going to be people that encourage peace.
I think this sends a clear message to the Rutgers community, to the community at large, about whose interests and whose comfort levels they take into consideration.
Rutgers did not announce who is taking that speaker's place. 5:52. If you live in Suffolk County, you could soon be pulled over by a fancy sports car.
Cops in Suffolk County on Long Island have a new car in their fleet as part of an effort to crack down on impaired driving. A 2020 Corvette Stingray Coupe now has the markers and lights of an everyday patrol car. The whip was seized from someone drinking and driving in 2022 who already had a previous DUI conviction. Commissioner Kevin Catalina says the car is being used as a symbol of deterrence.
Make sure that it had DUI seizure written all over it, so it sends a message to the people of Suffolk County that if you drive while impaired in Suffolk County, there are going to be serious consequences.
He clarified to ABC7 this is not going to be used in regular patrols.
We're going to put it out at parades, at events. We might take slow rides around neighborhoods.
Catalina adds the car, valued at $60,000, also did not cost taxpayers. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
Let's stay on Long Island. A waitress training for a future in medicine got a taste of hands-on experience when a customer suddenly collapsed outside her Levittown pizza shop while she was working. Sage Cololori, she's a 20-year-old. She's a nursing student who also works 2 jobs to pay her tuition, waitressing at Rico's Pizza in Levittown. And that's where a woman collapsed on the pavement outside. They called an ambulance, but they soon realized that every second would count. So Sage raced to check on her. She did not feel a pulse, and she started to do what she was being trained to do as a nursing student.
Everyone ran in and told me that she had no pulse. So then I went outside. I checked all her pulses. I didn't feel anything. Just a full round of compressions, so 30 compressions. And then she started breathing again. It was like a choke, and then she started breathing again.
Yeah, so Sage is a sophomore at Malloy University's School of Nursing, this is just a great commercial for them, where they do learning on the job. It's a huge component of it. So CPR, heart health, would be part of her daily lesson plan. Here's her coworker who watched her save a life.
I saw her looking outside. I mean, honestly, it was incredible to see somebody with this much skill to do something like that.
And back at Malloy University, the university dean just gushing about Sage.
And for someone who has had that limited amount of patient care experience to run towards an emergency and be willing to use the skills that she learned in that way by herself is quite an amazing story.
Yeah, great job done by Sage. And one with a story up in the Bronx. It is a Cinco de Mayo celebration at a South Bronx restaurant that took an unexpected turn after a group of women walked out on a $112 bill, leaving the owner of the small restaurant furious. The name of the restaurant is Talavera Cantina, and these women had spent a lot of money on liquor and food on Cinco de Mayo, and when they put the check down, one of the women took the check in the tray, that they always put those checks in, and they put it in their pocket and then walked out. Well, this restaurant has cameras, and they caught video of these women.
Never had someone just up and leave with an open tab. They took the entire tray of the check, she put it in her purse, and they left. You ate all of your food, you drank all of your drinks, and then you just walk out.
Yes.
That's insane.
That's the owner of Talavera Cantina, Brittany, who says, I could have called the police, but better yet, why don't I shame them on social media, which I think is a great idea, because my guess is if they've done this here, they've probably done this at other restaurants. So she has posted the video of these women on social media. She says she'll give them a chance to come and pay the bill before she decides what to do next.
So it's like, if they come in and pay, that's fine. If they don't, I will file that report. Why are you doing that to a small business that is women-owned? Like, you're women, you're doing that to a woman as well. Like, you're taking out of my paycheck.
Yeah, back in the day, you could get away with this, but now there's, of course, cameras everywhere. She says she hopes the women will come back, settle the bill, and make things right.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. Your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.